Coming up, huge new details have just been announced for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland and Walt Disney World, including our first look at some never-before-seen locations. Disney releases new photos inside and extended details for Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, and we get a full detailing of specially created food and merchandise offerings for the land. My name is Brayden, and this is your breaking Mickey Views News.
All who come to this happy place, welcome.
Now I'm the king of the swingers.
Our largest expansion ever. We're not just building one of these, we're building two.
Well, the day has come. Today we got the full details for everything coming to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, opening June 2019 in Disneyland and late fall 2019 in Walt Disney World. We're talking details on every location in the land, all the individual stores and experiences, the food, a huge new assortment of concept art, real-life photos on the Rise of the Resistance attraction, and even some extremely specific details, like for instance this new hand-built lightsaber in this concept art having a starting price tag of $49.99 and the full thing being around $109. So much to get into. What Disney reportedly did here is invite some members of the media to actually go take a tour of Galaxy's Edge, the construction site in Disneyland, to see it for themselves this past week. And then since then, they've had to keep it all a secret, and they got all this new info to write up, and today is the day when they got to release this metric ton of new details. So safe to say there's a lot of Galaxy's Edge talk happening right now. So what we've done is taken the hundreds of articles, all the new info that just dropped, where now we can break it all down for you here in one simple in-depth video. So let's do it. Starting off with the new ride details for Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, the extensive new First Order battle attraction coming to the land. To accompany this beautiful new photo inside the attraction itself, the Nerdist and EW released absolutely enormous documentations of everything that will happen throughout this attraction, step by step. And while it'd be a little bit laborious to go through all of it, if you look at what they describe here and some of the spoilers, that's why I don't really want to go like too deep into it, but I'll actually link those below. The real takeaway with it, if you look at it, is A, Disney uncharacteristically addresses a rumor, a specific rumor in these articles, and says that it's not true, the rumors of the ride being 28 minutes long. But they don't hint on whether it'll be longer or shorter. And you might be saying, how could it be longer than 28 minutes? Disney doesn't make attractions that long these days. Well, they are. This attraction, you're going to have a motion simulator part on a ship. There are going to be parts where you're physically moving in a group, standing in a quote standby room. After the standby and fast pass lines merge, you actually go into like a pre-show area, but it's actually like the beginning of the attraction. It's where the ride begins. There are also parts where you'll be in the autonomous ride vehicle that was previewed at the D23 Expo. This ride is like you are an actual character inside this massive elaborate attraction that is only a ride for the sake of telling the story even better. You'll be in the world of the First Order as a character of it, which just goes to show Disney taking the immersion to a whole new level with this land. And I think this new photo just sums it up best. This photo of Imagineers looking at an actual real-life First Order TIE fighter in the hangar area of the attraction. There's also going to be animatronics, there's going to be holograms, and then there's going to be these enormous rooms like you can see here with the AT-AT walkers and also with the TIE fighter bay. I mean, just look how huge that TIE fighter bay room is in that photo, and just consider that this photo is just part of the room, and this doesn't even have the accent lighting that you'll have where the walls will be all lit up like they are in the concept art. This is the concept art of that same exact room. It is going to be absolutely wild. Next, we have to talk about all the new location names and details that Disney has announced for the various merchandise and dining locations. These are all individual food and merchandise experiences scattered throughout the land, so we are going to cover all of these new details for each of these in a rapid fire style because there are so many to get to. Starting off first, we have Savi's Workshop, where you'll be able to create and purchase hand-built lightsabers. Quote, in this mystical experience, guests will feel the Force as they build these elegant weapons from a more civilized age. Guests will have the opportunity to customize and craft their very own lightsabers. The finished hilt costs around $109 and the blade starts at $49. Only 14 builders at a time will be able to craft craft lightsabers. Interesting here with this newly announced lightsaber building venue, 14 builders, or rather guests that will be putting together lightsabers at a time. It's hard to tell if that's going to be too few or plenty, because given how many people are going to be coming to this land, 14 doesn't sound like a lot of people, building lightsabers at a time. But given how reminiscent sounding this is of Ollivanders in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, where they actually, give you a wand, that's a show where it's one guest per show who gets that hand-picked wand. And they make that work in Universal. So if you look at something here where you're going to be building these super high-quality lightsabers, 14 at a time, I think, especially if they can construct them fairly quickly, you can get through a lot of people in a fairly short time period. And as far as the $109 go and then the $49 go, to me it looks like the $109 is where you get the lightsaber part itself and a blade, but you can get multiple blades, for $49, so you can switch them out. Or you actually have to get the blade and the $109 hilt just to get the one lightsaber, which would mean it's actually, over $150 for the whole thing. And here's the thing, let's be real. $109 or $150 for a real-to-life looking lightsaber, only available and custom built from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think even that pricing is going to attract a lot of hardcore fans that want those very, very specialty lightsabers. It's not going to be the plastic build-your-own kind that we've seen in the parks before. What exactly the distinction is with the $49 blade and the $109 full sword really remains a mystery, how all that really combines and how much that'll actually be in total and how much you actually have to spend to get the full thing that you see the girl in this concept art holding. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Next up, we have the Droid Depot, where you'll be able to build your own droid by taking all sorts of pieces off of a conveyor belt of droid parks to customize your droid. I think this is going to be a cool experience where some people can really build some cool, unique looking droids. And the special catch here is because everything in this land isn't just surface level. It's not just merchandise. These droids aren't just to sell. They're actually going to be able to react to things you do in the land, like perhaps on the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run attraction. Maybe the droid will react to how you're doing in the cabin on the ride. These droids will actually have a chip in them where they'll be able to have reactions to things and actually, interact with the land itself. Maybe they'll actually be able to activate special effects and things like that. I think that's just such a cool idea. And sure, it is something that you have to pay for with the droid itself, but if you do have it, it's not just like a regular piece of merchandise that you bring home. It's actually something that you can take with you to the land again and again and again, and it'll interact with the land itself, which sounds so interesting. No word on the pricing for the droids just yet. Also, we've got Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, where you'll be able to find old Star Wars antiques, ancient Jedi and Sith artifacts, as well as ancient lightsabers. This one sounds more like you'll be scavenging for hard to find items, which sounds like a lot of fun. I almost wonder if it's going to be like they're just going to have like a few of each item, all over the store. So it's much less of a store where you just have, like 30, 40 of a single item. It's all sorts of things scattered throughout, and you find those things individually, and they have individual price tags on them and things like that, which might be a little bit harder to pull off from like a regular store perspective, but I think it would definitely enrich the experience and probably lead to more sales because people would feel like whatever they found is special. So I think that might be what Disney is going for here. Just some speculation there. There are also another 5 merchandise locations that there were a little less details on that you'll also have in the Black Spire Outpost area. So many places to get that exclusive handmade Star Wars Galaxy's Edge merchandise. And now we move to the other big news that we got from all these new details with this announcement, and that is food. Starting off where we left off at the Black Spire Outpost with all the merchandise action happening, you will have Ronto Roasters, which will draw attention from passerby with its large pod racing engine firing up a barbecue pit for mouth-watering Ronto sandwiches. I have to say, this is a genius idea from the Imagineers. How do you do an immersive lunch place on Batuu in Galaxy's Edge and make it all fit? Sandwiches made via a pod racing engine. I have to say, that is a pretty creative idea. I'm so excited to see what this looks like in person. I'm sure there'll be all sorts of, special lighting effects with the actual engine itself and sound effects. Really excited to see all of that. Items served at the venue include Melloroon juice, the turkey jerky, and the Ronto wrap filled with spice nice grilled sausage and roasted pork. Sounds like some really good counter service offerings. It almost strikes me a bit like street food though. Like they're not gonna have a ton of things to choose from. It's just something that you pick up and then you can walk around the land and enjoy. Next up, we have the finally released details for the much anticipated Aga's Cantina. Disney says, quote, run by an intriguing alien proprietor, Aga Gara, this watering hole invites guests to share their tales from around the galaxy as they enjoy exotic beverages served in unique vessels. This venue will serve a large selection of specialty non-alcoholic and alcoholic beverages, something you don't see every day in Disneyland specifically. People have been asking what Disney is going to do about this. The fact that Galaxy's Edge is in Disneyland and you don't really have alcohol in Disneyland. And Disney says what they're going to do, how they're going to handle the alcoholic beverages that will be served in this venue, is they won't be leaving the venue itself. In Walt Disney World, I suspect the rules will be a lot less stringent, considering where everyone will be lining up for Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios, the Grand Avenue. There's a tap house right there where everyone's going to be lining up, so people already have alcoholic beverages, and then of course those beverages are already a common occurrence to be carried around Hollywood Studios, which is not the case with Disneyland. So very much how you have alcohol served at Be Our Guest in the Magic Kingdom and it doesn't leave Be Our Guest, it's going to be very much the same here with Aga's Cantina in the case of Disneyland. Next up for food, we have Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo, a multi-purpose transport shuttle docked atop a large hangar for traveling food shuttles. This may be the real place that everyone goes to grab a bite, and maybe this is more like the real Satuli Canteen of Galaxy's Edge, as we got a huge list of menu items, which we didn't get for Ronto Roasters with the sandwiches. I suspected that venue will be more like you grab a bite to carry around with you, or you eat a meal there real quick, whereas this Docking Bay 7 is going to be more like the true sit-down counter service offering with some really high-quality food. And looking at the food photos here, you can see it just looks amazing food-wise. You've got bowls and sustainable fish, those types of things that really remind me of the Satuli Canteen in Avatar Land in the Animal Kingdom, but there are also some new things that we have never seen before that I can't even draw comparisons to. As you can see here, some really elaborate new food offerings that I'm very excited to see. We really don't know the format of all these restaurants, if it's going to be some of these are counter service or what's going on there. Right now we just have some of the food details, and that is just about it. Really excited to learn more about these dining venues, and wrapping up the huge new details with the one that a lot of people are very, very excited about on the food front. Perhaps Disney's response to butterbeer, dare I say. We have the milk stand, which will offer two local favorites, blue milk and green milk. Thirsty guests will be able to order these colorful drinks as they live their own Star Wars adventures. We've seen pictures of these milks in testing as far back as last year. Disney was showing us, I believe, at the Galactic Nights near the end of the year. In fact, it might have even been 2017. I mean, these have been around for a long, long time, the pictures of the milk. Yeah, I believe, I think it was December 2017 was the first time we saw Disney testing the milk, and that photo is probably from months ago at that point. So I think Disney's been taking a lot of time to perfect this milk drink to be a truly memorable beverage every guest will want to grab wandering around the massive land. And speaking of wandering, we do have one bonus food offering Disney has announced, the Galaxy's Edge equivalent of a popcorn stand, Kat Saka's Kettle, serving a unique popcorn snack with a combination of sweet, savory, and spicy flavors. Looks pretty colorful there. Right now there's a big push in general, away from the artificial colors, and I'm sure that Disney is doing that as well. So while this popcorn looks a little wild, it actually looks to me like some of those colors may be natural ones rather than any sort of dye. For instance, that red could be a beet juice coloring that they use to color a lot of stuff that color. I might be wrong though, because I don't know any naturally occurring fruit juice that gives you that bright purple color that is also on the popcorn, but either way, I'm sure it'll be some tasty popcorn themed especially for Galaxy's Edge. Out of all of these new details, you may have noticed one notably absent is a specific opening date for Disneyland, the opening of Galaxy's Edge there, which a lot of people have been waiting for, but quite frankly, given how much new information Disney gave out here, I can completely see why the Disneyland official opening date would warrant its own future standalone announcement of its own, which I think we'll likely get hopefully in the near future. But I think this would have been a great time, given all the media coverage that is talking about Galaxy's Edge Day. You start to wonder, why wouldn't they announce the official opening date for Disneyland, given Disney says that it's going to be opening in June 2019. We're almost in March here. Where is the opening date for Disneyland? And I think maybe Disney doesn't wouldn't want us planning for a very specific date in Disneyland this far out, because I think that Disney might be already anticipating it to be a very crowded day, that first day of Galaxy's Edge, the land actually being open, especially with so many Disneyland guests being pass holders and locals that are just a few hours away. Any day Disney opens this land, a lot of people are going to descend on Disneyland very, very quickly. So I think if Disney, announces it too early and a lot of people plan trips to go out and actually, see it opening day, it's just going to add even more crowds to a already very, very crowded situation. I think something that Disney could do is just soft open it, unannounced, and then have an announced opening date that they can announce, right now, but actually use that soft opening window to allow a lot of those local pass holders that are waiting for the moment the land opens to go check it out. So they'll already have, gone to the land and gotten a look inside, and then that'll help lessen those huge crowds for that official opening day, which will be more of an event in and of itself, while people there specifically to actually, ride all the rides and do all the experiences in a single day. Those guests, they'll definitely, be going on a day where it's not as crowded. So hopefully we get an opening date soon. As far as Walt Disney World, I've been getting a lot of emails of people asking me if it'll be open in September or October for their trips. I just want to make it clear, from what we've been hearing from a lot of people out there, like travel agents and stuff, some of them think it might be Thanksgiving week. That might be a blessing. It might even be after that, because the thing is, late fall 2019 can mean almost up till the very end of the year. We could be looking at a December opening for Galaxy's Edge in Walt Disney World for all we know. So the thing is, I think if you expect Galaxy's Edge to open really, really late in the year in Walt Disney World, like open in December, when it's announced later this year and it's actually like mid-November or something like that, I think it'll be a happy surprise rather than actually expecting it to be open, in September or October and then being disappointed when it's not. So I think if we sort of mentally prepare for Galaxy's Edge not to be open until the very, very, very end of the year in Walt Disney World, any of those extra weeks back that it opens, if it opens like November or something like that, I think that it'll actually be a really nice surprise to see the land opening a little earlier than expected, rather than us expecting it to open, earlier in the fall. And then of course, that ends up not happening. So there's still so much construction to do, and, Disney still has to do a lot of work, and then people are disappointed. So I think that's a good way of looking at it. It's really just a matter of when these lands are going to open and when you get to go to them, because once you get in that land looking at all these new details, I think disappointment is not going to be a word in anyone's vocabulary. That's all the latest news in the world of Disney. Be sure to subscribe with those notifications on to make sure you're the first to get the latest Disney news. Also, be sure to check out our Mickey Views Daily News Amazon Echo skill, where I bring you the latest news every day in a quick audio snippet to keep you up to date on all the latest, which you can also find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Links in the description below. And this is your final chance to grab the Mickey Views buttons, which are on sale because the Mickey Views store will be closing very, very soon as we prepare to launch a new merchandise lineup for the month of March. We got so many buttons orders last week. I just wanted to thank you all so much for helping to support the show and just all the feedback on this new Mickey Views news format. It just means so much. The Magic Weekly will be returning this weekend, so stay tuned for that. That's all for this episode of Mickey Views News. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Brayden. Have a magical day.